Hello and welcome to Foundations in Maternal and Newborn Health. In this video, we will learn about breathing and more specifically the oxygen carbon dioxide gas exchange. So this picture is a picture of lungs inside your body, and connected to these lungs are your blood vessels. And as you know, blood vessels carry blood throughout your body, and blood acts as a transport highway to carry nutrients and gases. So one of these important gases is oxygen, and we use O2 as a short form. And all the cells in your body use this oxygen to make energy required to survive. And during this process, the oxygen is converted to make carbon dioxide. And we use CO2 as a short form for carbon dioxide. So this oxygen is carried by your blood throughout your body, and as it's moving throughout your body, your cells are using this oxygen to make energy, and they also make carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is brought back to your lungs where it's exhaled and your oxygen is inhaled. So there are two sort of types of blood. There's oxygen-rich blood. And oxygen-rich blood, of course, has lots of oxygen. Again, that's O2 for short. And it also has low levels of carbon dioxide. And this oxygen-rich blood usually travels through blood vessels called arteries. And these arteries usually carry the blood away from your lungs. And this should make sense because your lungs are where the blood picks up the oxygen, and then it travels throughout your body. So it's picked up the oxygen, now it's moving all the way through your body. So these arteries with oxygen-rich blood are traveling away from your lungs. And the other type of blood is oxygen-poor blood. And oxygen-poor blood has low levels of oxygen in it. It has quite a high level of CO2. And this blood travels through blood vessels called veins. And these veins usually carry the blood towards the lungs. And again, this should make sense because it's got low levels of oxygen, so it has to go back to the lungs to pick up more oxygen. It also has high levels of CO2, so it has to go back to the lungs to get rid of that CO2. So next, we're just going to take a look at what's happening at a cellular level inside of your lungs. And to understand what's happening at a cellular level, you have to understand how lungs work anatomically. And lungs act like a big balloon. And every time you inhale, this balloon is getting inflated. It's filling with air. But it's not actually one big balloon. It's a whole bunch of little small balloons. And these small balloons are called alveoli. And that's what we'll be looking at next. So here is an alveolus. So it's a single alveoli. It's one of many alveoli in the lungs. And surrounding the alveoli, or this alveolus, is a small blood vessel, very small blood vessel. And coming from the left here is oxygen poor blood. So this is returning from your body. So again, it's got high levels of carbon dioxide. And when you take a big deep breath, you inhale lots and lots of oxygen. So you inhale lots of oxygen into all your alveoli, to all of your lung, and your oxygen poor blood then drops off as much CO2 as it can. So it drops off CO2 into the alveoli, and it also takes this opportunity to pick up oxygen. So it's dropping off CO2 and it's picking up oxygen. So that's all happening on your inhale. And then when you exhale, you're getting rid of as much of that carbon dioxide as you can as you exhale. So now this blood that's picked up all this oxygen is going to travel through your body, drop off that oxygen, pick up more CO2, and come back again to the lungs to do it again. And so the main component of your blood that's responsible for carrying this oxygen and this carbon dioxide are your red blood cells. And your red blood cells, I've drawn them here. They look a little funny. They're sort of spherical, but they have a little dimple in them. And they're called red blood cells because when you look at them under a microscope, they're red. And your red blood cells are filled with a protein called hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is a very important protein, and it does two things. Firstly, it really likes to bind, it really likes to carry or hold on to oxygen. And so when it's exposed to this gas, this air that has lots of oxygen in your lungs, it grabs onto that oxygen. But when it travels through your body and your body rips this oxygen away from hemoglobin, if there's no oxygen available, it will bind to carbon dioxide. So again, that's CO2, carbon dioxide. And so hemoglobin is really acting as the carrier of these gases. And so it carries that oxygen, it picks up that oxygen in the lungs, it moves through the body, it drops off that oxygen, and it comes back to the lungs to pick up more oxygen and to drop off the CO2. So lastly, we're just going to talk about one other protein, and it's called surfactant. And I'll draw it in green here. And surfactant lines all of your alveoli. I will write it here, surfactant. And so surfactant is quite a slippery protein, and it feels sort of like soap in between your fingers. And the purpose of surfactant, its role, is that it helps inflate your lungs. It helps inflate your alveoli. So you can imagine trying to blow up a balloon for the first time. And inside the balloon, it's all stuck together. And so surfactant acts as like a slippery, soapy water to help make it easier to blow up the balloon and to blow up your lungs. And we'll come back to that. We'll come back and talk about surfactant when we talk about neonatal resuscitation.